The WWE have been making their plans for Survivor Series ahead of time, but not considerably so. It's only within the last week or so that Vince finalised his list of planned draft choices, and there were at least 3 picks that were changed on the day of the actual draft. With this in mind, the WWE have begun to put together their expected card. Now, before we get to Survivor Series, Crown Jewel does have the potential to shake things up, but not enough to actually threaten the expected card. Our expected Raw vs Smackdown women's match is Charlotte Flair on one side, and the winner of the Crown Jewel triple threat between Becky Lynch, Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair on the other. Given that whoever holds the championship will be handing it over to Charlotte Flair on the Smackdown afterwards, we can safely assume that it's not going to be Sasha Banks, because why would she hand over a championship when she's not changing brand? That would just confuse everything and everybody involved, so logically it has to be either Becky Lynch, the current champion, or Bianca Belair, who faced Charlotte this week on Raw. Right now, the expected match is Becky Lynch versus Charlotte Flair. That's what's listed on the card. The reason? It's a big deal, and it should help the show feel like a big deal. And that's a concern that the WWE have right now, because Survivor Series doesn't feel like a Big Four anymore. In the WWE's eyes, Money in the Bank feels like more of a big show right now than Survivor Series, and as they're moving pretty much permanently into massive stadium shows for WrestleMania, Royal Rumble and SummerSlam, they're trying to decide if Survivor Series is the next step, as they were hoping, or if maybe it's Money in the Bank instead. Survivor Series has been a little up and down recently. NXT weren't just added to try and make NXT feel like a big deal back 2 years ago when they were actually part of the system. It was done to get you to buy tickets, because ticket sales for Survivor Series haven't been the strongest recently. So the WWE want Becky versus Charlotte because they believe that will help draw a gate. Now the other expected main event match, this is more about helping create a new star. It's not one we've seen a lot of before, and in fact it's not one we've seen much of at all, so it's bringing something very different to Becky versus Charlotte. Biggie, the current WWE champion, will line up against Roman Reigns. Of course this depends on the result of Roman versus Brock at Crown Jewel, but Brock Lesnar is far from the favoured competitor in that one. In fact, Crown Jewel looks like it's going to be a show all about just sort of maintaining the status quo, which is disappointing. Big E will also be defending his WWE Championship at Crown Jewel, but Drew McIntyre has next to no chance of claiming this belt. He is en route to Smackdown and on an eventual trajectory to the Universal Championship and Roman Reigns. Drew is there to give Big E a scalp on his way out of the door, much like Bobby Lashley looked to be doing before rowing back. This leaves us with Big E versus Roman Reigns, and I've got to say, that's new, that's different, that's exciting, but honestly, who do we think is going to win this one? The 5v5 traditional Survivor Series matches haven't been entirely decided yet, but Seth Rollins is expected to captain his Raw team, and something between Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley are expected to captain the women's. On the other side, Baron Corbin will feature heavily as he argues his credentials poorly, but Sasha Banks will be undisputed on the women's side. With the amount of talent at the top level, the 5v5 matches should be the cream of the crop for Survivor Series this year, though don't be surprised if Becky and Charlotte pull something very special out of the hat. Case Darwin said they really should stop the brand versus brand stuff. It makes no sense when the wrestlers literally just switched brands. You're absolutely right. I think the draft is in completely the wrong place. I think the draft should come after WrestleMania, giving people many months, literally 6 months or more, to basically gear up for a brand versus brand battle. It makes a lot more sense to me to do that, but we are where we are. Connor says that's because people don't care about which brand wins when they've only officially been on the show for like a month. Yes, I agree there. I like the brand versus brand format if there was a reason to have it. Instead, we have just got a repeating revolving door of people swapping brands and then be like, yeah, I represent Raw right now. And Michael says, we've seen Becky versus Charlotte too many times for me to care about it. The last time we really saw it like properly was Evolution. I can afford to see it again, but it depends. When we last saw it, it was Last Woman Standing, and my god was it good. Yes, they were there for the triple threat at WrestleMania, but that did involve Ronda Rousey and thus played out very differently. I'm just personally very, very excited by the concept of damn good wrestling. And they can deliver damn good wrestling, but they can't live up to that last woman standing. There is, of course, an outside chance that Bianca Belair ends up winning the championship and we get Bianca versus Charlotte in a proper one-on-one match. I don't necessarily see it, but I'd like it, you know? I'd like it. Connor says, I've never been a fan of brand versus brand because it has no effect on WWE and no effect on anything. Yeah, there is no reward for being the superior brand, as it were, especially when Raw has literally done it again and again and again. Ethan, it is possible that Charlotte will be defending her title at Crown Jewel. That is something that they are trying to make happen, but there isn't really a logical opponent for her right now unless Alexa Bliss reappears shortly. I don't think Alexa Bliss, the character that she is now, is going to go down too well in Saudi Arabia. Bossman says they've been having Becky and Alexa versus Charlotte and Bianca in live shows. They're definitely going to be pushing Alexa more in the future. Yeah, the word is that Alexa Bliss at this point is back in the title mix pretty much to stay. There will be a continuation at some point of Alexa Bliss going for the top championship. That for me means Becky Lynch right now and Bianca Belair in future. It was a few years ago now that Alexa Bliss was told you won't be going for the top championship, not for a long time. And several years later, here she is to a point where the WWE have calmed down about her potential concussions, which stacked up for a while, and are just more than willing to give her a chance to go for the gold again.